Hi, welcome to All Booked Up. I'm Beth Hildenbrand, and tonight we have a super special guest, Angela Yuriko Smith, and I'm not worthy.
You are very worthy. Thank you for letting me be here on your show.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm just beyond thrilled. Uh, so, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Yeah, sure. My name is Angela Rico Smith, as you can hopefully read. And if you can't, you need to learn how so you can read all these great books that Beth is telling you about. I published Space and Time magazine. I took it over from Hildy Silverman, who took it over from Gordon Linsner way back in 1966. And I write a lot of horror. I write everything that I can find a market for, and poetry. And I've been really lucky. I've won a few Bram Stokers. I might win one again next weekend. And just found out I got a Rising nomination yesterday. So I can
Wow.
add that to my whatever, my bio. So, but yeah, my favorite thing is a newsletter for authors, Authortunities, and that is just where it actually started as my personal calendar that I started sharing because I was too lazy to actually do a newsletter, and that has become my favorite thing to do because it's just so fun to see other people getting published and like sharing, that conversation of like, or I didn't get published, and we kind of have like a little submission support group. So, that's it.
Well, I have signed up for that.
Oh, yay! Thank you. Let's be part of that support group. We'll cry to each other. I didn't get it. Oh, I did get it.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to getting my first one.
Yay!
Um,
That'll be Saturday.
Yay! Uh, so I met you in Ladies of Horror book group,
That's right. That
and
it's so funny. I'm like, well, how did we meet? But yeah, that was Ladies of Horror.
we just got to chatting, and now here we are.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, she's so interesting. And I got a sneak peek at your new book that's coming out. And I don't do spoilers, so haha, everybody, you're going to have to buy it and find out all for yourself. All I can say is that it is totally amazing, and it sent me off on a whole new discovery of new things, which is totally killing me getting my book done because I was so fascinated uh, by by uh, by the culture that I had to go digging. It was just so much new information for me, and it was such fascinating information that I knew absolutely nothing about. And if you want to explain a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And it actually fills me with so much joy that that is your reaction to go digging into that, because that's exactly why I wrote it. The Okinawan culture are actually indigenous people. I won't get too political, but illegally occupied by Japan. And so the UN has recognized the Ryukyans, which are the indigenous people of Okinawa, as a separate, they're not Japanese. The language is different, DNA is different. They're like DNA more like Chinese than Japanese. But as long as the Japanese say that they're Japanese, then they can keep that land, which is occupied by the US military bases primarily. So there's a lot of money going around. But no, like even Japanese and Okinawans don't know this a lot of times because this has, from World War II, kind of been erased from the history book. So now this third generation, which is me, third generation Ryukin, we're like trying to reclaim that and finding out all of these things. Like even my mother didn't know a lot of this stuff. And you can find it when you go digging, but it's just kind of like if you don't know that there's something there, you don't look for it. And so that is why I wrote in Eugenie was I had written Tortured Willows with Lee Murray, Christina Singh, and Genevieve Flynn, and we were writing about our heritage. And so when I really went digging into my heritage, hi Nina, I started discovering this stuff that I was telling my mom, hey, did you know such and such? And some of it's really horrible, like the forced suicides. The men or women were told like the Americans are going to be so horrible, it's better to kill yourself than to be captured. And so they would kill their families, thinking they were being sometimes at gunpoint from the Japanese soldiers. But then after the war, if they tried to talk about it, they went to prison for murder. So nobody wanted to talk about it. So it became very like, we just don't mention it. So these are some of the things that I bring up in Inugenie to highlight that. And I do try to stay on the not too graphic. Like rape was a big part of the experience of a young woman during World War II on that island. I don't go out like it's there, like you know about it, but I don't go into the actual actions of it because I really don't want to glorify it, give it any spotlight, you know. But
Yes.
I feel like we need to know it is there, it happened, but we don't need to know the nitty gritty details. So as far as that, I try to shy away, or I don't try, I do shy away. But other than that, it's all out there. Like everything, a lot of what I wrote in Inugenie is actually true stories that are told through experiences, you know. And then I altered them, of course, for fiction. But yeah. So, anyways, that was my long-winded way of saying I am so happy that that is inspiring you to
Yeah.
yes.
The most I knew was, just little bits from movies
Mm-hmm.
and TV shows and things like that. When I started reading, I was just fascinated. The I didn't realize that it was its own little culture and its
Mm-hmm.
own, almost like its own little country.
Yeah, well, and it was for a long time Okinawa, which was the Ryukyu archipelago, or maybe I think I might be getting that slightly wrong, but it was the Ryukyu Kingdom. They were considered like the most hospitable of mariners. Like the Ryukyans would just travel everywhere, but they were very polite and very hospitable, and also very like somebody, I can't remember his name, but like somebody came in and was like, you know, you have to do these things. I'm, you know, from England, you know how that goes. You have to do these things and like prepare a banquet for me and blah blah blah. And they were like, no. And then so he marched on them and sat in the castle, which was supposed to be like no foreigner could ever sit in this place kind of thing. And so it was really offensive. But instead of being offended, the king just, I can't remember what they did, but I think they served him really nasty food, like spoiled food, like, oh, you want us to throw you a feast? Here's some rotted pig. And they made like really bad noises, like really unpleasant experience. And so he left in a huff and sailed away saying, this land is full of savages, and they were like, bye. So I just love that story. But
Nina asks, what was the most challenging scene or chapter to write and why?
almost the whole thing. Um, I think the last chapter was probably the most challenging because it doesn't end on a happy note in real life. Um, it was just, I mean, if you do any research, it's pretty horrific. Inugenie actually means dog's war. And then, like, why would you kill a dog that's your loyal friend? It's a dog's war. But there was no point to it. So trying to wrap that up in a way that wasn't like, I want to leave some hope for the reader. That was probably the hardest part. And that is where the magic realism came in, because with magic, we can do anything. So I rely on Shisa a lot, which it's a real thing. It's a lion dogs, and there's two of them. And the female has her mouth closed, the male has his mouth open because he's roaring away at the bad luck and the demons and drinking in the good luck and the good things. And she is keeping her lips sealed to keep out the bad things and and keeping the good sealed in. And so they're kind of like a symbol of almost like yin and yang, but in dog form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just love them. I actually have some behind. I have them all over my house. Um, so the Shisa is kind of the symbol of like that hope, and I feel like the Ryukyuan people have had that. Like they do have that hope. We are reclaiming. I'm only a third, but we are reclaiming some of those cultural things that are actually illegal. Like tattooing the back of the hands was how a woman. It was like the most precious thing a woman could do. It was called hajichi. And I am going. I have naked hands now, but I am planning on getting hajichi for Okinawa because that's where my grandmother came from. So, but yeah, so yeah, writing a happy ending.
Oh, that is a happy ending. and have fun with that.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
have tattoos. They did not hurt. I didn't think, but some people.
I have many tattoos. I'm worried about the back of my hands a little bit, but it's hand poke, so it's like a bamboo needle.
Oh, you're doing it that way?
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be. I've heard that's more gentle. So we'll find out. But yeah, I like tattoos.
Oh, so do I. I love them. Excuse my cough. I'm trying to get a cold or trying not to, one or the other,
That is
depending on how you
absolutely
look at it.
yeah.
Yeah, I come home from Texas, and the first gift my son gives me is a cold. So thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, was that a Mother's Day gift? Because I would return that if I could.
I know, right? Can I exchange this? Maybe get a nice leather jacket or a pair of earrings.
Yeah.
But no, I get a cold. Um, Nina is just questioning away. What inspires you to write your books?
Um, gosh, I think just life. I just kind of wander through, and pretty much anything can happen to me, from a really boring grocery shopping trip to, I don't know, researching culture. And at some point, I'll be like, that would make a great poem or a nonfiction piece or a story or a short story or drabble. Or I just pretty much, there's really not a lot of planning happening. I'll say that. It just happens.
I get that. I wrote a poem once about a rainstorm that was happening while I sat in the parking lot waiting for my son to come out from school.
Yeah. I kind of think writing is like, like a Ouija board, and you're like asking the spirits to come talk to you. And like the keyboard is maybe the Ouija board, and the mouse is the planchette. And all our job is to lay our fingers on the keyboard and just let the stories come speak to us. Like they already exist. We're just here to listen.
And I have to, I'm just going to sing your praises the whole show. Uh, Tortured Willows. Oh, what you wrote. I'm not going to remember it 100%, but about willows relating to women and how we bend but we don't break,
Yeah.
or something along those. And it was just a perfect analogy,
Thank you.
and I absolutely loved it. Your poetry is wonderful. Uh,
How much do I owe you after this show? You're worth it. I'll totally give it to you. PayPal?
Ah, well, I'll tell you what. I don't fib. I only tell the truth, and I always tell everybody when I review, I don't give away spoilers, and I always review on story. You're never going to catch me reviewing on editing because, as indie authors know, it's such a hard process. And even if you hire the best editor, you're going to find boo boos. I have found boo boos in Nora Roberts' books. So there you go. Um,
Yeah.
I will always review on story.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you did some really nice work in there because I am a big poet nerd. I do love my poetry, and it was a great book. I didn't get all the way through everyone else's, but I enjoyed your part in it.
Thank you.
And what brought that whole thing together?
It's actually a bit of a saga. We had Lee Murray and Genevieve Flynn did Black Cranes, and that wound up winning just a ton of awards. And I wound up having two short stories in it. And it was born at the time of COVID, and there was all the Chinese grandmothers being beaten up for basically being Chinese, and like the whole Wu flu and all that. And so Black Cranes was written kind of as a response of like, hey, we're Asian and we have voice. We're not just massage parlor girls and all the fetishes that come from Asian women, and we're not either dragon women or like the super meek, anime girls. So what are we? And so that's what Black Cranes was. And that did so well. I mean, it did get a Shirley Jackson Award and a bunch of awards for the different stories, and then Bram Stoker, and yada yada yada. Well, we didn't want to quit. It was like,
No.
what else can we talk about? That went great. And I had a publishing company, or I still do have the publishing company. It's Yuriko Publishing. But I the imprint is Author Trinity's Press because Yuriko is my grandmother, but I didn't think about that when I got my LLC, and now it just feels like a vanity name because I am also Yuriko. So that's why it's under the imprint. But I was like, I have a publishing company. Let's publish a poetry book. And Genevieve had never written a poem. And then Lee had started writing poetry, but she didn't write a lot. Jean's first poem, like, let's have a jealous moment here about Genevieve Flynn. Her first poem wound up winning, I think it was the Riesling or something. I can't remember what she won. That was the first poem she ever wrote.
Uh,
So, yeah. So I'm like, oh, I can say I suggested it because she's like, I don't think I can write poetry. I was like, yeah, sure, just do something with form, like a pantoum, And so she wrote a pantoum called "When the Girls Begin to Fall," and it's gorgeous. And she has not stopped since. She's like, we got another poet. So, but that's basically what it was. And then we got with Christina Singh, and we just wanted to write more about being Asian women, particularly of horror. Asian women that write about dark things. And then that book did really good and was well received and got a bunch of like different poems, got different nominations and prizes. And then that got a Bram Stoker award. And so the third book is Unquiet Spirits, which is up next weekend. We'll find out if it wins anything. IR writer. So like,
oh, well, you got my vote. I mean, I'm not in there yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, we would love to have you because, I mean, that was when I started the HWA, it was probably the best thing I did for my career because it was finding a tribe, And as you know, if you write dark things, there's not everybody you can talk to about these things.
Oh, yeah, I've been called some very amazing names over the years.
Yeah.
Cringy being the least of it.
Yeah, we are not often welcome, but we welcome each other.
Yeah, and it's I was goth before there was goth, and now it's just I'm a freak and I like it, whatever. I often say no, I'm not goth. I'm scary as hell and batshit crazy. Oh, watch the mouth. That's just me. You do you, I'll do me. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
Okay. Yeah, we probably could, take off. Okay, the creepy chicks are gonna get weird now.
I do want to say though, I don't know if you can see this, but this is in my Kindle.
Oh,
and I read it. And I love it. This, for all of you who may not be aware, I mean, probably aware, this is Alive in the Fire by Beth Hildenbrand. And I love it. I'm going to review it at the end of this month. I've got like a little stack, but yes, I love this collection.
Yeah, I have about 5 I need to review on that. 4 days of driving back and forth from Texas, all I did was read, and there was no writing reviews when the car's going like this along the road, so yeah, I have my reviews I need to start on this weekend, and there's a whole pile of them and a lot of very good books, and I got to get that done. I always put off reviews. I don't mind the reading, but the reviewing,
Yeah. You know why? Because you're like, oh, that was really good, and I need to review that. Now I need to read this one.
Yes, and then you read one, and you want to read the next one in the series, and then I get so wound up, and then I just keep going and keep going and keep going, and then I look back at the ones I have to read as opposed to the ones I want to read, and it's like, oh crap, now I'm all behind. Yeah. And for this show, I'll tell you what, I always read and review every writer I have on. I think that, interviewing somebody, the first one or two, because it was so quick, I didn't get to. But after that, it's like I want to know about the person I am interviewing. I think it's only fair that you read their book and can talk to them about their work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. There was something, I can't remember. I guess I won't say names, but I do remember an interview one time, and somebody said something about the plot. I think it was of Tortured Willows. It was a poetry book, and they were like, I love the plot of this. Da 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 da. And I was kind of thinking, well, okay, yeah, it's a great plot. Like, I didn't know what to say because I don't want to be like, what plot? Like it's poetry. And so then I kind of like bridged it to like, yeah, so the overarching theme was, and then I think he figured out, oh, this damn doesn't have a plot. Crap.
You mean you don't plot your poetry?
I'm a pantser poet, I guess.
Oh shoot! Oh, that's a good one. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
See, and this was me going, I should be quiet for a second so that Beth can say a word.
If she can think of one, words, Beth, you know what they are, right? Yeah, I mean, you've written a few. You can come up with one.
That's why we're writers, though, instead of speakers, because, hey, we got it down. Put the keyboard down there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll just write out my next comment. Okay. I wish I could sometimes because the brain freezes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, bittersweets is where I was going next. I have started it, and because you took May away from me. But I'm loving bittersweets. I just finished tomato tea. What was
tomato leaf tea.
Tomato leaf tea. Yeah, I got that far, and oh my God, this is like so original.
No, thank you.
This book. I mean, I was floored when I started reading it. I thought, wow, what a concept. This is so cool. And you see, this is just like me admiring the beauty that is you.
Yes, I feel my pores tightening right now.
What's that? What's that Christy Brinkley stuff? Meaningful beauty. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was I'll be eating that up later tonight when I sit down for the evening. I'm really into this book. It is fabulous. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's such an original story. And I'm going to have to go back and get all these on my Kindle so that I can review them. But I thank you for sending them to me. They are fabulous. And I really, that it was just such an original idea and such a cool one.
Thank you. Well, and it came out of real life. I guess most of our work does. But it was from a friend, like a coworker, that was sadly on that cycle of trying to commit suicide, get hospitalized, get counseling, gets well, and then just kind of cycled back down. And one day, and this sounds completely horrible, and I did not mean this in this way, but I was like, I wish you could just get it done, get it over with. And then realize it's not going to help anything. And I didn't mean like take her life. I meant more like get this out of your system and then move on, because you've got like this hiccup that you're constantly like, oh, it's this. And so that's where the idea came from, is like, what I wish there was a way that she could get it out of her system, but then come back, like be okay. And then be like, oh, well, that sucked. Because I think we romanticize death, which is why you may notice that the death is gross. When you death, you crap yourself and you pee on yourself and you puke, and it's not like, oh,
it's not a pretty thing.
Poison. Oh, that's not the way it works.
It's not just the Southern deathbed scenes like Gone with the Wind and all that stuff. No, it's not.
Yeah, so that's what it was, a deterrent to not do this. Like, here, do it through this book. And then, like, move on.
My first husband hung himself.
Oh, geez.
That was not a pretty thing. I mean, I was not there. Thank you. We had been divorced for quite a few years when he did this. But, people don't understand, especially teenagers. When you're gone, you don't get to hear everybody say, oh, poor so-and-so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get the pity party. You're gone.
Yeah. And there's anger, I feel like, a lot of times too. We've had people take their lives in our family, and it's not a, oh, I miss you. It's like, oh, what the, like, WTF, why,
Hmm.
and anger. And I feel like that media romanticizes it. And so this was me trying to unromanticize it, um,
You
in a
did a good
way
job.
that's not going to make you want to do it, because there ain't no nano. There's nothing that can really bring us back. This technology does not exist right now.
No, and I'm glad actually, but uh, because I think kids. Who knows what goes through their minds these days? I mean,
Well,
really,
oh yeah,
they're.
I have to admit, I would definitely do it. If I could come back, I would definitely try it.
Yeah, but
Um,
I would want something painless, like the tea.
mhm,
Okay, give me the
yeah,
tea. I'll
yeah,
just go to sleep, and then yeah, bring me back.
yeah.
But it actually happened to me during childbirth, and I don't really remember it. I just remember everything being dark and people screaming, everything being dark, and then whoop, there I was again.
Yeah.
They gave me too much pain medication, and sent me out. There I went, and
Wow.
so yeah, it actually did happen, but I vaguely even have any
Yeah.
concept of it. So it wasn't any fun. I didn't get to see the white light. I didn't get to be, woo, I'm back, party time. None of that. I
Well,
didn't get to
yeah.
go on TV and share my white light experience. It was just kind of, yeah, okay, it happened. Whoop. You know, uh, yeah, I wish I could have got a little bit more of a jolly out of it, but
Yeah.
I got a child instead, so I guess I should be happy for that, right?
I'll hold back all my child jokes, but like sometimes can be like dying,
Yes, thank you.
especially in those adolescent years. It's like,
Oh, tell me. I did, my last one is going to be 18 this year, and thank you, Jesus. The other ones are out of the house and have their lives. And that when we were in Texas, one of them came back and stayed with our son, the one that's still home, and he was spent the night. And I looked at him laying in bed, and I thought, "Oh, my baby's home." And
oh,
then I thought, "Yeah." And when I got home, I'm like, "Yeah." And he didn't do a damn thing, just like always. He made sure his brother didn't die. I guess that's good. Yay.
hilarious.
But yet, nothing changes. Nothing
No,
changes.
I had four. My youngest is 25 now. So, yeah, and I love the whole empty nest thing. I'm definitely not one of the grandmas that, I have seven grandkids, and I'm definitely not the grandma that's like, oh, come to Granny's house. I mean, I love all of you if you're watching this, of course. But Granny Smith also likes her quiet time.
Yes, I agree. I'm the same way. I love to go get the kids and take them out and do things with them, but they get bored in my house.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken all the toys and everything. It's all gone. So they come here and there's like that, and there's nothing here to do, Grandma.
Yeah.
So we go do things, and they don't stay often because what are they going to do? Sit here and watch me write? They think
Mm-hmm.
it's cool that I write, and they have the books of mine that I allow them to.
Yeah.
Some of the no, you don't need to read some of those, huh?
Yeah.
But and my oldest granddaughter, she says she wants to be a writer now.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's
Yeah,
so cool. And then
but
there's always that thing where you're kind of like, there are other things to do, but if you really feel called to it, good.
oh yeah, you can do it. But please get a college education or find something interesting to do other than this because you're not going to make a whole lot of money here,
Yeah,
child.
yeah, yep.
Learn to be a hairdresser or something where you're going to pay the bills, be a dentist, a dental assistant, anything for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. Well,
Or
and
go get a PhD. I don't know.
that's the interesting thing about writing is you can make a living at it, but it depends on what genre. There's a lot of factors. So I can say I've been a professional writer all my life, but I wrote for newspapers. I
Uh-huh.
started fiction with End of May. That was my first fiction book. And at the time, I thought this was like crap because I came from newspaper world and I was actually making a paycheck. And so I was getting $50 a month royalties on that at first. And I was like, this fiction thing is just garbage. Like, you can't make a living like this. And then I found out, oh, yeah, it's really tough. But once you start publishing your books and you get the proof that you can write and you start getting your platform, then the living comes from teaching classes or speaking engagements or things around writing, which is ironic because at one time writers were cherished. I mean, that was, the serials that would appear in the newspapers. That was I was going to say Alfred Hitchcock Holmes. I don't know who that writer is, but so Sir Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes and Alfred Hitchcock, is nowhere in this picture. That was a penny a word. No, sorry, it's probably not a penny a word, but it was a serial that he got paid per word. That's why they're so wordy back then. I think David Copperfield was also a serial, and Count of Monte Cristo was a serialized work, and they would just appear in the newspaper. And these writers made their living off their writing doing that. So I would like to go back to that. Thank you.
Yeah, but it wasn't Poe. He wrote for the newspapers back in the day, did he not?
Yeah.
In Baltimore.
That was the way people could get their stories, was through the newspaper. So that was
I know one thing. I know things, not many, but a few. So you said you're nominated for another award, and that's next week.
Yeah.
And tell me about it. I want to hear about it.
Oh, for Unquiet Spirits. That was us continuing the conversation. That was Lee and I got together. And so it's kind of a weird series. And this came together by accident because you have Black Cranes, which I have here. Black Cranes was originally published by Omnium Gatherum. Now it's been republished by Raw Dog Screaming Press. And so the colors, I don't actually have a copy of Unquiet Spirits here, but you notice the colors are very much the same and the theme is the same. And that was on purpose. So we did Black Cranes first, and that's the second cover of Black Cranes. And then Tortured Willows, we designed it to match, mostly just because, honestly, it's like, wow, that did so well. Let's do the other one very similar, similar visually. Unquiet Spirits also matches those colors and also features a woman on the cover. Completely different artists, 3 different publishers, because Black Spot Books publishes Unquiet Spirits. Sorry, these are all the words jumbling in my head. But it's become a series of 3 different genres, 4 different publishers, honestly, 4 different artists on the covers, different groups of women each time, and yet we've worked into this cohesive unit, and we're all still friends. Like, we all work together all the time now, and we call ourselves the Unquiet Sisters. And it's just a group of Asian women in horror that work really well together. And so that's where In Eugenie came from, honestly. Unquiet Spirits, I think I was already writing. No, I had finished In Eugenie by the time we did Unquiet Spirits. But In Eugenie was me taking my personal voice and wanting to tell my particular story from this. So in my mind, I think of it as like a 4th book in this kind of really unconventional series. And In Eugenie, I am self-publishing because I really I started self-publishing, and then I started my publishing company because there was so much stigma against self-publishing. And now I've kind of been like, you know what? Indie publishing is the future. I'm not saying anything against publishers, but there's a lot of people that want their voice heard, and there is just not a lot of publishers, because just like the authors, we don't make a lot of money doing this, and we have to buy groceries. The publishers are in the same boat. If we're not making money, they're not making money, And unfortunately, we can't go to Walmart and be like, hey, do you see this trophy? Can I use this to get some bacon? It was really important. Let me tell. No, I just need some bacon. Can I have half? Do you have any bacon you're going to throw away in the back? So that's why I think indie publishing is turning into such a big deal, and why The whole authorpreneur, I love that portmanteau is turning into such a big deal because we're realizing our words are not free. They're our intellectual property, and we manage our intellectual property. We manage it by, like you mentioned, editors. We know that we have to have a professional product, but we also have to think like a business person of the cost of that professional product. And so I agree with you. I am an editor, and I've won. And well, this if I win this Stoker next weekend with Lee, I will be an award-winning, a Bram Stoker award-winning editor. Because that's what we did. We edited it, and we both have an essay in there. But like that's what the award would be for editing. And in my books, you will find typos. And I call those brushstrokes because we are creating these things. Even though it looks like them, even though you can get 20 of these by ordering it on Amazon. Oh, and please do. Oh, not this one because I don't get anything for this, but this one, no. You can order a box of these and they all seem to look the same. But behind that, there are brushstrokes. And even like you said, like the top of the top, top five, or is it four now, publishing houses, and you'll go through and you'll still find an error. And I love those, and I always highlight them in my Kindle, and I go look at them with joy because that means somebody created this. Somebody one time said, I wrote something and I didn't edit. It was actually an Opportunities newsletter. And I'm not sure if she meant it as an insult or, but I'm like, I'm going to choose to not take it as an insult. But she said, did AI write this? Because there's a lot of errors. And I replied, I wish AI had written it, but because it doesn't make errors, but it's bland. Like that's the point. But no, this was written by a human because that's why there's so many errors. And yeah, I had just fumble fingered so many things, like just because I think it was late or something, and I was rushing, and I was like, I'm just gonna get this out, blah, 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 and who's gonna read it anyways, blah, 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 and you know, always spell check, boys and girls, at least. So,
I don't do too bad with the spell check. It's other little goobers. I'll put words where they don't belong. So I go so fast.
yeah.
And then when you read your own work, you see what you expect to be
Mm-hmm.
there,
Yeah,
not what's
you know
supposed to
what
be
you meant.
there.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's good to have an editor, or at
Mm-hmm.
least have a proofreader, somebody
Mm-hmm.
who can look over it and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, did you know this happened here?" And
Yeah,
you're
or
like,
even reading it out loud sometimes. You read it out loud and your mouth is like a stranger to you. Or like in the newspaper, and I still do this, whatever we wrote, we had to print it. And because you'll see different things in paper that you do on the computer, it'll just look differently to you. And then you read it out loud and you'll catch even more mistakes. And yeah, and then hopefully you'll only have one brush stroke, maybe two.
"Okay, we have some questions. Let's see. Um, in any of your books, which character would you want to be?"
Hmm. Probably in End of May. Maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I would want to be Halil because he's originally Satan. But I'm saying like because of the power and like you can just do whatever you want. Or maybe I shouldn't admit this either. I have another. It's a book that I'm working on, but it's serialized on Amazon right now. And his name is Duncan, and he's a blue succubus. But what I like about him again is that kind of that power of he can, because money is a fiat product, it doesn't physically exist. So it's a faith mechanism, and so I play upon this in the book. Is like he doesn't ever need to really pay for anything. It goes on his tab because it's all faith based. So if he says it's there, it's there. And I think I would just love that because I would go into Walmart and say like, I'll put that bacon on my tab, thank you very much, and then I would have all the bacon I want. So probably those two, which I don't know what that says about me, that I would be either my devil character or incubi character, the male succubus, incubi. Um, but that was a fun one. He
Okay,
is
we're gonna have to
published
talk
by
about your
a
bacon fixation after the show.
it is real. I live in Brazil now, and that has become a quest: is where is bacon? And I just they don't put
Ah,
the chemicals in the food like we do in the U.S. And I know that that's not a good thing that we don't have all the nitrates and stuff here, but I kind of miss the flavor of the nitrates and the bacon. So yes,
uh-huh.
the craving for bacon is real.
Well, I can only go so long without the bacon. Yeah, you gotta have the bacon.
Yeah.
What's something you are really good at that few people know about?
Well, I will. I don't know if I'm really good at it, but I feel like I'm really good at it, and that is rapping. But and because I used to live in Washington D.C. and that was the cool thing to do at one time. So I can do the whole like, well, Superman he come to town to see who he could rock. He blew away every crew he faced until he reached my block. But just as he had pulled a face and said he wanted to fight, we rocked his butt with a 12-inch cut. I'm gonna disco cook tonight, and then it can go on.
Oh, you rocked it. You rocked it totally.
Literally.
I think I just blew out my earphone somehow.
To the dismay of my children, they many times have I had them trapped in the car and like it was actually a punishment at one time. Like if you guys don't stop fighting, I will start rapping, and they would like.
Oh, anytime I try and sing, my kids are like, "No, I cannot carry a tune." They said I'm somewhere a cross between a cat getting run over by a lawnmower and a crow getting hit by a bus. I don't know, but it's pretty bad. It is.
That
Yeah,
is
it sounds about like this cold. It's pretty awful. And then when I try and go singing heavy metal like this, it's pretty bad. Um, are there specific messages or themes you
yeah,
hope readers will take away from your books?
yeah. A big one in my books is power to the victim. I get very offended, but sometimes we victimize ourselves. We trap ourselves with our preconceived notions of who we are. And so there is a lot of times a message of don't listen to other people. Like we have to listen to them and take things into account, but don't let people hold you down. As in real life, I was told by Tom Monteleone not to publish Bittersweets because he said it's a terrible story. Nobody would ever want to do that because it's it's painful. Like who would want to do that? And I was kind of like, oh, I guess I'm a weirdo because I would totally die if I could come back just to experience it. And I'm really glad I didn't listen to him. So that theme carries around a lot in my books of like, don't let the world hold you back and do what you flip and want to do and go for those dreams and you will achieve them. If you go forward, you will find what you're looking for. But we live in fear, and our media tells us to live in fear, and our parents, well meaningly, we hope, try to live us because everybody wants us to be safe. And life isn't safe. I mean, it ends the same way for just about all of us. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
eventually you're not going to get around it. So, may as well take the risks to, live a full life. And when you get to the end of it, you're just like, I did that. I did all the things that I wanted to do. So,
I said to somebody just the other day, my biggest problem is that I'm not afraid of pretty much anything anymore.
yeah,
When you hit that point, it's either liberating or terrifying for everybody else.
I think aging helps with that, honestly, because by the time I'm 55 now, I'm getting ready to turn 56. By the time you reach that midpoint, I think you're like, yeah, well, it hasn't killed me yet. So, I'm
Exactly.
going to try it.
It's like, okay, I've had the trauma, I've had the drama,
And
and
I survived.
now I'm either going to go for it. I'm not going to sit around and cry about it. You
Yeah.
see too many people, so many people I grew up with are sitting at home miserable.
hmm
And it's like, well, you have
Yeah.
fun with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to do my thing. Y'all have fun. Drink
hmm
your vodka, watch your soap operas. Me, I ain't done yet.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So,
So,
yep, no fear. Got to
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah, yeah, and I have no regrets. And even the things that have been painful in my life, that's who, especially as artists, as writers and creators, and if you're alive, I feel like you are an artist because you're creating yourself. Um,
Yes.
all of those pieces of pain have fallen to make you who you are now, and it's good. Whoever you are right now, I guarantee it's a good thing.
Yes, it's like a blessing that we can write.
Hmm.
Some people don't have an outlet, and then look what happens. We have
Yeah.
crazy people shooting each other, and
Hmm.
all the craziness in the world. That we can write it down,
Hmm.
and have an outlet for
Yeah.
our pain, or our creativity, everything. It's a blessing,
Yeah.
and
It's my
every day
belief.
I'm thankful.
Yeah. It's my belief that a lot of violence and anger and upset could really be alleviated with a box of crayons and a stack of paper. Like just scribble it out, draw it out, get it out of yourself. Like Dumbledore with that pensieve thing.
Hmm.
He like could take the thoughts and put them in the pot. That's what we do.
That's exactly. I mean, well, we can't solve the world problems tonight, but I think that's a good start right there.
Go get a box of crayons if you're angry.
Yeah, exactly. Go sing a song. Just
Yeah,
do something. Find
um,
find a way to make yourself feel better.
yeah. Punch some clay.
Absolutely. Your Play-Doh's cheap. You can get
Yeah,
Play-Doh for $1, or you used to be able to. Who knows
yeah,
anymore? But Play-Doh's cheap. You can get it at the Dollar Tree. Go get some Play-Doh. Have fun.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
love
guarantee if
Play-Doh.
you told somebody I'm going to punch somebody or I'm going to get some Play-Doh, I would buy you Play-Doh.
Yes. Me too. I'll tell you what, I'll go buy a whole bunch and start passing it out on Main Street.
Exactly.
Play-Doh, Play-Doh. Go down to where they're passing out the free meals, and here's some Play-Doh.
Yeah, yeah. You want to hit somebody? Here's some Play-Doh.
Yep. Go create something. I,
Yeah.
I, I remember there was, I don't know, did you ever watch the Monkees back in the day?
No, the band, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I've heard their music, but I didn't really watch them.
Well, on the Monkees, I used to watch them. I was a big Monkees fan. Oh, well, hi, Paul from Sydney. uh, there was one episode, and this, was from back in the 60s, and the guy says, it's Dig Something Ugly Day. Everybody go out and dig something ugly. And that always stuck with me. So I try and find beauty in ugly, no matter what it is. So
Yeah,
there's our lesson for today, children. Find beauty in the ugly.
yeah,
Hey, hey, it's the monkeys. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Hey,
Well,
hey, it's the
I love
monkeys.
that. I love what you're saying because really, it's what is ugly. We judge ugly. Like, look at the media, and it shows like what is beauty, right? The media tells us this is beauty. She's blonde.
Yes.
She's like these are her measurements. Blah blah blah. And is that beauty? It's kind of like we're told that because they want us to go buy those products, and also the longer we're dissatisfied with ourselves, the more we'll buy and try to fill those spaces to make ourselves worthy, which is probably another theme is you are flipping worthy. You don't need anything to be worthy. You are worthy. Um, yeah, that I mean, it's money. It's money to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. So yeah, what is ugly? Abraham Lincoln said there's what is it like I'm gonna totally butcher Abraham Lincoln. God must have loved plain people because he made so many of them or something like that. So that's what I always think of is like we're the majority, the plain people. It's the beautiful, beautiful ones that are the freaks.
And you know what? The beautiful ones all look like the same Barbie doll with different heads.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you think about it, it's the thing that sticks out that the imperfect thing is what you remember. Like if you see 20 models, and anybody who's a model, I'm not trying to rain on your parade. Just don't look so bad. Yeah, but if you see like 20 models, they're this specific, but you'll remember the one person that's not a model in that lineup
You
forever. You'll
will.
always wonder why was that person there? What was the story? If you think about book openings, because we're talking about writing, the book openings that stick with you are the ones that don't make sense. Like it was the best of times and the worst of times. How can that be? What is it? Orson Welles. Is it Orson Welles? Oh, no, it's 1984, isn't it? It starts out, the clock struck 13 or something. The clock struck 13. Da 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 da. And I should probably stop quoting books now, or I'll totally make a fool of myself. And what's that other one written by Sherlock Holmes, Hitchcock, Doyle?
Oh, you are not ugly. Thank you, Paul, for saying that you love the show. And you're not ugly. You're a very attractive man. But no, I know what you mean. That's we are all unique. We are all beautiful. I go out of my way to look kooky just to irritate people. It's enjoyable for me. I live I live in such a community where do you know what Amish and Mennonite people are?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, this is the community I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
Take a look at me now.
So that makes that pink extra bright, knowing where you're sitting.
Yes, exactly. I go in a store and I've had little Mennonite women drag their children in the opposite direction when they see me coming. I do it for fun. It's kind of like, hey, and I love children. I will talk to the little children. And, part of it is more, look at me. I'm not bad. I'll talk to you. I've got this terrible thing for kids. I will talk to any child I come in contact with. I'm going to get arrested someday. I swear to God, because I talk to babies sitting in line at the grocery store. It's weird. My husband is always yelling at me for it. Stop talking to that kid. They're going to arrest you. Oh, come on. How can you resist a little baby face? But
I will point out, not saying anything, Beth, but so did that witch with the gingerbread house. She also.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Come, little children, I have candy.
You look plump and delicious. So how did your show get canceled? I'm so sorry. We're fiction writers. We're speaking fictionally, of course. We've never eaten a real child, not without cooking it first. We're not savages.
Yeah. And then the powdered sugar. You got to put the powdered sugar on top. And
that's why we say, "Oh, I love you so much," or "You're so cute, I could just eat you up," or why do we call them dumplings?
I think that's what I'm having for dinner too. Dumplings.
I'll withhold all future comments, Your Honor, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Seriously, I think I'm having dumplings for dinner. Oh, jeez. Oh, is it getting hot in here? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. This is what happens when horror writers have a show. Okay. Yes, we're kooky people.
Yes, very cultured.
Yeah, we're the most cultured of all the genres.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Speaking of cultures, is in the Petri dish.
Well, they cooked up Frankenstein, right? Yeah.
Just don't ask us what we're culturing.
Oh shoot! Yeah, it really is getting hot in here. I had to turn my AC off so it wouldn't hum in the background.
All right, I'll be serious now.
Okay. Yes. Pull it together. Oh, okay.
Why is your audience leaving? I'm so sorry.
But my Nina will never leave me. She's probably somewhere, rolling on the floor and thinking, oh no, what am I going to do with her? Oh, well, okay. Now that we have, had our little sillies, I guess it's time to say goodbye for the evening. We've been at this for an hour.
It has flown by. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely.
For StokerCon, because that's next weekend.
Yes.
I will, a lot of people don't get to see the detail in one of these.
Ooh.
So we will do a haunted house tour real quick before we go. But it is so much amazing detail on these things. I love them.
Oh, wow.
If I
I
could just,
want one of my own.
mhm, I highly recommend them, but not at Walmart. They do not care. Okay, don't bring it to Walmart. They will actually think it's a weapon, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I was saying, God! People will be dropping. Oh no! Oh no! I'm not going to go at it
I
again.
want bacon. No, okay, that never happened. Everybody, that never happened.
Okay, okay. You have to send me your address. I am mailing you some bacon.
The nitrates will keep it safe.
Yes, they will. I'll get one of those. What do you call it? Freeze boxes, but the ice, dried ice, and ship it out to you. No,
Oh my
and all you
god.
have to do is get me a little haunted house. I'll trade.
I will do my best. I will definitely, you have my vote.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you for coming to the show.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. This has been a joy and a pleasure.
oh, oh, and it was great. You were like my honored guest, and
Thank
thank you, Nina, for keeping me in check most of the time. Thank you, Josephine. I love you guys, and we will see you next Saturday at our regularly scheduled time for All Booked Up. Bye bye. Love you.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Whoop.